Okay, so imagine this. You're scrolling through like Facebook or something,
Uh-huh.
and you see these fan pages, and they're dedicated to a guy
Right.
who's in prison for murder.
Yeah.
But not just like any murder. He's confessed to killing 2 women.
I know, it's
Brutally
wild.
crazy, right? But this is like a real thing.
It is. It's totally real. And
That's the Wade Wilson case.
yeah, the Wade Wilson case. It's definitely not your typical true crime story.
Okay.
No, we're about, the murders themselves are chilling.
Yeah.
Then he's got all these conflicting confessions.
Mhm.
Then he starts making these wild accusations about this mysterious organization.
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of all of that, you've got this whole fan culture that's sprung up around him.
It's like something out of a movie or something.
Yeah, it really is.
So we are going to dive deep into all of this today.
We are.
We've got jailhouse phone calls, court testimonies, media coverage.
Absolutely.
We're even going to be referencing analysis from that true crime podcast you like, Surlessly with Annie Elise. Surlessly. Good one.
So are you ready to unravel this whole twisted story?
Oh, absolutely. Let's set the scene first.
Okay.
Okay, so it's October 2019
Okay.
in Cape Coral, Florida.
Got it.
2 women, Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, are murdered.
Within hours of each other.
Yeah, within just hours of each other.
Wow.
And the crimes are brutal. The community is obviously shocked.
Yeah.
And pretty quickly, the investigation leads the police to Wade Wilson.
Okay.
Wade's a heavily tattooed guy with a criminal record.
I mean, right away, there are things about Wade that are just like red flags.
Right.
He was at this bar called Bud Life with his girlfriend, Mila.
Okay.
This is the night before the murders.
Huh?
While they're there, he meets another guy, Jason Shepard.
Okay.
And Wade keeps pushing Mila to go to Jason's house.
Really?
But she refused. They get into this big argument.
Oh, boy.
Wade takes her car, which was a stick shift,
Oh, no.
and leaves her at the bar.
Can't even drive a stick.
No.
Wow, that's interesting about the car.
It makes you think maybe he's impulsive or manipulative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he couldn't even drive it.
Right. Exactly.
It's weird.
So later that night, Wade meets Christine Melton
Okay.
and her friend Stephanie at the same bar.
Uh-huh.
But he introduces himself as JR.
Wait, so he's using a fake name?
Yeah, right off the bat, that's suspicious.
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, they all end up going back to Jason's place.
Okay.
They party there. Wade and Christine have sex.
Okay.
And eventually, Wade offers to drive Christine and Stephanie home.
But he can't drive stick?
Nope. So they call an Uber.
Okay.
The Uber takes them to Christine's apartment.
Uh-huh.
Stephanie leaves.
Okay.
And Wade's left alone with Christine.
And this is where things get really bad.
Yeah, this is where things take a dark turn.
If we're going by the official account, at least,
Right.
this is when he strangles Christine in her sleep.
Oh, wow.
He steals her car, then meets up with Mila, gives her back her keys,
Okay.
then gets into a fight with Mila,
Mm-hmm.
punches her,
Oh,
and takes off in Christine's stolen car.
wow. It's
Yeah.
like this chain reaction of just escalating violence.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gets worse.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Wade encounters Diane Ruiz walking down the street,
Okay.
asks her for directions,
Uh-huh.
and then lures her into the car.
Wow.
Then he attacks her, beats her, strangles her,
Oh, my God.
and then runs her over with the car multiple times.
God, that's awful.
Just unimaginable.
It's a horrible escalation.
So obviously they arrest Wade,
Yeah.
and then we get to the confessions. And this is where it gets really complicated.
Yeah.
So in these recorded jailhouse phone calls with his dad and Mila,
Uh-huh.
Wade confesses to the murders.
He does.
And he does not hold back on the details, at all.
Yeah, the podcast we're talking about, they play some snippets of these calls.
Yeah.
And it's really jarring
Yeah.
because he's sharing these chilling details, but his tone is almost casual sometimes.
Like he tells his dad in one call, "It wasn't bad until I ran her over with a fluff car 100 times."
It's disturbing
It's very disturbing.
how lightly he seems to be taking it.
Yeah. And with Mila, he's pleading with her to stay with him,
Oh, gosh.
even though he's admitted to killing 2 people.
It's like he's trying to manipulate her.
Oh, absolutely.
Make her feel sorry for him,
Yeah.
keep her tied to him.
Yeah. Classic manipulation.
But then Mila tells a totally different story in court.
She does.
Yeah, she testifies about Wade's assault on her,
Okay.
how he forced her into the car, all of his controlling behavior.
Huh. So that really undermines his attempts to manipulate her.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It shows this pattern of violence and control that's been going on.
For sure.
Wow.
And just when you think you're starting to understand this case,
Yeah.
Wade throws this huge curveball.
What's that?
He takes back his confessions.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
It says he was forced to confess to these murders.
Oh my gosh.
And he blames this shadowy organization
Huh.
involved in drug and human trafficking.
He's saying they set him up.
That's what he's saying.
Wow. This is a whole other level.
Yeah, now we're getting into some real intrigue.
Yeah, Wade's painting this picture of a powerful criminal network that's controlling everything behind the scenes.
So he's the victim now.
It sounds like he's trying to say that, yeah.
That he was framed for these murders.
Right.
This is getting more and more complex.
It is.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think we need to take a closer look at this alternate story of his.
Okay.
The one where he's not the bad guy, but just a pawn in this bigger game.
All right, let's do it.
So Wade's story is that he was working security for this organization down in the Florida Keys,
All right.
like stationed at a resort.
Okay.
And he's painting this picture of like living the high life,
Oh, wow.
you know, on a yacht.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then slowly he starts realizing the true nature of what this organization is really up to.
So he's saying he didn't know about the criminal stuff at first.
Yeah, that's his story.
I don't know. It seems a little hard to believe.
Right. Especially with his past.
Exactly.
But he goes on to describe this world with cigarette boats and private airports.
Wow.
Even a plane that could take off from water.
Seriously?
Yeah, all used for moving around illegal stuff.
That's wild.
And he even names names.
Oh, really? Like who?
So he mentions Eric James Brown and Tommy Williams.
Okay.
He claims they were high up in the organization.
Wow. He's really going all in with this.
He is, but how does he explain his connection to the murders then?
Right. That's the big question.
So Wade says that eventually he becomes like second in command,
Okay.
which put him in direct conflict with this Tommy Williams guy.
Huh.
Wade claims there was this power struggle
Okay.
fueled by jealousy and resentment over Mila.
Oh, because she used to date Tommy.
Right, exactly. It's like a love triangle gone wrong.
So that's how he tries to tie it all together.
Yeah, he claims that when he and Mila decided to leave the organization and expose their crimes, Tommy and another guy named Josh Mateo confronted Wade at a warehouse.
Oh, wow.
And they threatened his family
Oh, no.
if he didn't go along with their plan.
And their plan was to frame him for the murders.
That's what he says.
Wow.
Wade says they told him they were going to kill Christine and Diane.
And you would take the fall.
Exactly. And he even claims they forced him to make those phone calls to his dad and Mila.
The ones where he confessed.
Yeah, he said they had this device that made it look like the calls were coming from the victims' phones.
Wait a minute. That sounds pretty far-fetched.
It does, right?
Yeah. Is there anything from the investigation that backs up his claims?
Well, there are a few things that haven't been totally explained.
Like what?
Well, for example, Wade apparently escaped from police custody for a little while.
He did.
Yeah, and then a little while after his arrest, there was a fire that destroyed his parents' house in Tennessee. Wade says these were attempts by the organization to silence him.
Okay, but couldn't those things have other explanations? I mean, people escape from custody sometimes.
Right.
And fires happen.
Yeah, you're totally right. Those incidents alone don't prove anything.
It seems like it really comes down to who you believe.
It really does.
Because the prosecution had a strong case.
They did. They had the confessions, the DNA evidence, and witness testimony.
Right.
But Wade's supporters are convinced that all of that was faked or coerced.
It's strange how this case seems to depend so much on belief.
Yeah.
Like you've got
Yeah.
the justice system saying one thing,
Right.
and then this whole group of fans
Yeah.
who are totally convinced he's innocent.
It's like they're living in two different worlds.
That's a really good way to put it.
And honestly, that's one of the most fascinating parts of this whole case.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the level of devotion from Wade's fans is unbelievable.
They are pretty dedicated.
They're making fan pages raising money for his lawyers.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they're even trying to contact him directly.
It's like a weird mix of true crime and a cult following.
It really is.
It's pretty bizarre.
It is so. How do you think someone accused of such awful crimes gets such a dedicated following?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's something that psychologists and sociologists have been trying to figure out for years.
What have they come up with?
Well, there's a long history of people being drawn to criminals.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Especially criminals who are famous or glamorous.
Okay, so this isn't just a Wade Wilson thing.
No, not at all.
Give me some examples.
I mean, think about Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, even Charles Manson.
Oh, yeah.
They all had tons of admirers, even though they did terrible things.
I guess I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, there's just something about the bad boy that can be attractive to some people.
Especially when the media and social media are hyping it up.
Exactly.
So it's like people are fascinated by the dark side of humanity,
Yeah.
but also kind of romantically attracted to a dangerous person.
That's part of it, but it's complicated.
I bet.
Some experts think it's a way for people to feel like they're rebelling.
Without actually doing anything risky.
Right. Or maybe it's a form of escapism.
Hmm.
You know, a way to connect with something bigger than themselves.
That's interesting.
And in Wade's case, his fans have created this whole story about him being the victim, like this misunderstood anti-hero
Right.
who's being taken advantage of by a corrupt system.
Yeah, they're really buying into his claims of being framed.
Totally. They've made him into this legendary figure.
A warrior for justice.
Exactly.
It's like they've created their own little world where they can all believe in him together.
And anyone who disagrees is the enemy.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is, because it can be dangerous when belief becomes like a religion.
Right.
Because then you can't even have a normal conversation about the facts anymore.
It stops being about finding the truth
Exactly.
and starts being about defending your side no matter what.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
It's crazy how people could be so sure Wade's innocent,
Yeah.
even with everything we know about the case.
I know. It's like they're completely ignoring the facts.
Yeah. It seems like social media plays a big part in all of this.
Oh, definitely. It gives fans a way to connect with each other,
Yeah.
share information, and reinforce what they already believe.
And they make those fan pages and share videos and stuff.
Right. And they even raise money for his legal defense.
It's not just about the legal stuff, though, right?
No.
Some of them are sending him money for personal messages, phone calls, even pieces of his clothing.
It's like they're trying to profit off of him being famous.
It does kind of feel that way.
Yeah, it's ethically kind of murky.
It is.
Because on the one hand, you've got people who truly believe he's innocent,
Right.
and they're willing to do anything to help him.
But on the other hand, it feels exploitative.
Yeah, like they're turning a convicted murderer into a product.
Yeah. What do you think is motivating these fans?
I don't know. It's probably a lot of different things.
Like what?
Well, there's the whole forbidden aspect of it,
Okay.
the excitement of being connected to someone who broke the rules. And maybe they want to feel like they're part of something exclusive.
Like a special club.
Exactly. A community of people who see things differently.
But some of them really seem to think they're fighting for justice.
Yeah, that they're righting a wrong.
It's easy to forget about the real victims in all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz.
Right.
Their families are still hurting.
Yeah.
They're still trying to deal with what happened.
Yeah, all this attention on Wade Wilson can feel really disrespectful to them.
Yeah, it can make it seem like their pain doesn't matter.
Exactly. We can't lose sight of the human cost of these crimes.
Yeah. So where do we go from here?
That's a good question.
We've looked at the evidence,
Right.
the different sides of the story,
Uh-huh.
even the psychology of Wade and his fans.
So what do you think are the big takeaways from this whole Wade Wilson case?
Well, I think it shows how powerful belief can be,
Definitely.
how much influence social media has,
For sure.
and how complicated people really are,
Yeah, it shows how hard it can be to tell what's true and what's not.
and how dangerous it can be to make criminals into heroes.
Absolutely. And I think it reminds us that we need to be careful when we're looking at true crime.
Like, we need to be critical, but also compassionate.
Exactly.
I think this case is going to be debated for a long time.
Oh, definitely. There's still so much we don't know.
And as new information comes out, as the legal stuff continues,
Yeah.
we need to keep paying attention and asking questions.
We can't just forget about it.
Well, this has been our deep dive into the Wade Wilson case.
It's been quite a journey.
It's a fascinating and disturbing story,
Yeah.
full of twists and turns that ultimately leave us with more questions than answers.
We hope you learned something new about this complex case and all the issues it brings up.
And if you want to know more about the case, be sure to check out the resources we mentioned.
Yeah, especially that Surlessly with Annie Elise podcast.
And, as always, let us know what you think.
We love hearing your thoughts.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, stay curious.